Well, Merry Christmas, everybody, and welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. We're looking at my rain catchment barrel on this corner, and I got about 17 gallons from yesterday's surprise rain. And I say surprise rain because it was nowhere in the forecast, it was nowhere in the weather app, and it didn't even show anything on the radar, on a local radar, until the storm was well involved, and then all of a sudden it showed up. Just strange. I guess everybody was taking the holiday off or something, and they just didn't want to report it. So anyway, I got about 16 or 17 gallons in each of the four barrels on the four corners, and that gives me about 68 gallons, or a little over one barrel full total. And that's not a bad thing. And we'll head up here. Oh yeah, look at that. The barbecue is cooking. And I'll show you what's going on in there in a little while. That's my Christmas dinner. And over here, oh, that sun is right in my eyes. Wow. You can just barely see the water in the tote there. Now those were completely empty. They were right down to nothing. And you can see they're both up about the same height now. And yeah, that water's a little on the dirty side. That's because that is the dirt that was sitting inside of these containers since they've been empty for a long period of time. But that's only irrigation water, so I'm not concerned with it. And what I did was, you can see the green hose on the end right there connected. It comes up and it goes right into that tank right there. So what'll happen is when the rains come and these tanks fill up higher than the elevation of these tanks, the water will automatically start siphoning out into these tanks. Now once these tanks are full, I just go over there and I turn that one T handle right there on the PVC pipe, and that shuts that off so it doesn't drain into these anymore. And then those can fill up. And in the meantime, while those are filling up, I can drain these because I have my manifold already made onto this, and I got my hose bib on the end of it, and I'll connect the hose onto that, which is laying right out there by the bush, and run that down to the garden house, and I'll pump that down to the totes down by the garden house and fill those up. And then if I still get water after that and everything is full, these tanks need to be completely washed and flushed out. So what I'll do is I'll pump water out of these two into these three and get enough water in there so I can wash these things out and have them all cleaned and ready to go. Because these are going to end up going down by my greenhouse and garden house. And these are going to be added water for that area. With the 4 that I have down there now, and then these 3, that'll give me enough water to get all the way through a summer if I can. And just using captured rainwater for doing that. Now, I may end up building a rainwater capture system. I had originally never thought about doing it out here because the amount of rain is so minute. It didn't seem like it would meet the cost of all the materials I'll need to do that. Because I have to buy a bunch of corrugated metal, you know, that stuff that's got the waves in it. And then I got to buy some 2x4s and 4x4s and set up a basic roof that all slants down in one direction, and make it large enough so that the amount of water in a 1-inch rain that comes off of that will fill 2 or 3 totes. And that's what I really like, is if I can fill 2 or 3 totes just off of one rainwater capture system, that would be great. Now that's it set up there on the roof of the 2 containers plus the garage I put in between the 2. That captures quite a bit of water. But again, we don't get a heck of a lot of rain here. Our yearly average rain is supposed to be around 7.5 inches. I've never seen that, although some of my neighbors said they have. And the local road out here turned into a river. Well, I've never seen that out here, but I have seen flash flooding north of here. And that's something to see. I mean, when you see a wall of water coming down the side of a mountain towards a dry lake bed, and then all of a sudden the dry lake bed has 2 foot of water going across 17 miles of dry lake bed, that's a lot of water. And I have seen stuff like that. Okay, let's head on down here, because I mentioned yesterday I did pick up 2 more Concord grapevines, and I wanted to get those in right away so that they have time to relax without going into shock and get their roots set, so when the springtime comes they start budding right away. And that's one of the things that you have to do with grapevines is get them in and relax the roots. Now, it's very important, and I've had some people say that they've tried doing grapevines and haven't had any luck with them. Now, these grapevines come, they're called bare root plants, and no pun intended. But what they do is they put them in a bag like this, and they fill them with wood chips or wood shavings, and they soak the wood shavings in water, and they're still bunching inside of these bags. I left them there to hold the bags down, but then that moisture that's in there is just enough to keep this thing alive in its dormant state. So the roots sections are the most important part of a grapevine, and they're very delicate, so you don't want to damage those roots if you can. When you're taking them out of these bags, what I find is the easiest way is to open the bag, turn the bag over, and shake and shake and shake until as much of these shavings come out. And this will all go in my compost pile. But you keep on shaking until you get some of that out, and then you'll notice that the grapevine will start falling out also. And then you can add a little pressure to the grapevine, but don't pull too hard, because if you break roots, that's going to damage the plant and could kill it completely. The roots are very important. They'll tell you to take those out and set them in, clean all of the wood shavings. Don't leave any wood shavings behind, because that is not composted. It is not good to be around the roots. That'll leave air around the roots when you put it in the ground, and you don't want air around the roots because that'll kill the plant. So you want to make sure that you get all of that out of there, and then you're going to carefully clean the roots off and see how long they are. Then you got to dig a hole, and this is one of them right here, and the other one's over there. You got to dig a hole that's bigger than the roots without bending them to get them in the hole or anything like that. So you want it at least twice the size of the root ball, but don't bend or try to force them into a smaller hole. Make sure the hole is big enough so that you can spread those things out evenly in the direction they want to go without bending them or cramping them. And then you want to put some soil on top of those and then flood it with water. And what that does is that's going to bring the soil tight around the roots and get the air out, so you won't have any air left. Then you can finish backfilling and then soak the whole area around the plant so that the roots get a good soaking. And then for all of the branches that you have on there, you want to take it back a couple of nodes. These are what they call nodes right here. So this was about 3 nodes longer, so I took it back to that one, and you're going to cut it just above that point there, because that's where a leaf will come out of and a branch will come out of. So you want to do that to every one of the branches, and don't be afraid to cut it back. It's not going to hurt the plant, and it's actually better. The more you cut back, the better it is. Now you can see I took this one way back, and this one I took three nodes off, and this one I took 3 nodes off. And the reason you want to do that is so that the energy it grabs from being transplanted doesn't have to feed as much of the vine to get itself started. Now this one, I actually cut it back a little extra, and you can see that it's nice and green in the cut where I cut it. And you can see there's already a little bud right there and a little bud right there. So these things are both have been set into the soil, soaked down with water, added more soil, and then soaked down again. And these will just, I'll just keep the soil evenly damp all the way through until springtime, and I should end up getting some good sprouts off of these. Now the one that I had in here from last year that I thought originally it had died, and then when I pulled it out, I noticed that the roots were pliable, and it would look like it was trying to take root. Well, I took that one all the way up to the back corner back there in the green in the grow house, and I set that one back in the soil, because when I pulled it up from here again, the roots had doubled in size, and that was a good thing. And I was very careful when I pulled it up. I didn't stretch or snap any of those roots. So all of the rootstock went up to that side over there. And I'll see if I can get that one to take way up there, because the Concord grapes are my favorite. They do have seeds in them, but that's okay. The seeds are edible. Don't ever think that they're not. You don't have to spit seeds. Eat those seeds. They're full of nutrition for you. They're excellent for you. But for making wine and Concord grape jelly and grape juice and stuff like that, oh my God, those are the best. So that's why I want to get these things going here. Now my other grapevine over there is a seedless green table grape, and those are great for just eating off the vine and eating at the table, munching some fruit. But they don't make really good wines and things like that. They're just not a wine grape design. So if you're going to grow grapes for just for eating, go with the seedless, the Thompson seedless. They're usually the best. I've got the green ones on that side and the purple ones on that side. And the purple ones were just starting to take, and then the cold hit, and all the leaves died off of it. So it should go dormant, and then I should get some production out of it this year. All right, so got all of that covered, and I'm already going into 13 minutes here. If you have any more questions about grapevines and growing grapes, feel free to use the comment section below. Put your comments and questions down there, and I'll try to get back to you. I'm not going to go inside of the garden or inside of the greenhouse today, but I did get a bunch of other stuff planted in there too, and going to have a great year. And I'm thinking the corn usually goes in around March, but I'm going to start my corn inside of the greenhouse probably at the end of January, the end of next month. So about a month away, I'm going to get those started inside of there, and then I'm going to have some pretty good 1 to 1.5 foot, 2 foot tall corn stalks ready to go into the garden as soon as the ground is warm enough. This old farmer's thing that I remembered, and I always liked it because I could just picture the farmer doing that. But they used to say, how do you know when it's a good time to plant your corn? Well, if you can sit naked on the ground for 3 minutes, then it's time to plant corn. If it's too cold for your butt, it's too cold for the corn. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so we got about a 260 degrees slow heat temperature going on in here. And we're going to lift this up, and I'm not going to let too much of the heat out because I still have a couple more hours of cooking on this, but look at that. Wow, isn't that looking good? And I'm doing this with charcoal and mesquite. So it's going to have a mesquite flavor. For seasonings, salt and black pepper. Don't go crazy. Don't put garlic. Don't put onion powder. Don't do all of that stuff. You only need salt and pepper for your seasoning. If you want a little bit of an added layer of flavor, you can use a orange sauce. And most ducks, when you buy them in the store, will come with a pack of orange sauce. I'm not a big fan of duck l'orange, or that's what they call duck coated in orange sauce. And one of the main reasons is because I can't eat a whole duck in one sitting. And if you're going to use the orange sauce, you should eat the whole thing in one sitting. Because if you put that into a refrigerator or anything like that afterwards with the orange sauce on it, the orange sauce will spoil faster than the duck and could make you sick down the line. So you put the orange sauce on a roasted duck right before you serve it. Serve immediately, and whatever is left over, throw it out. Don't keep it. Some people will go, oh no, I've kept it for years and no problems. Well, you're lucky. Go buy a lottery ticket. I've seen people get sick on that, and it's not worth the time. All kinds of bird and poultry nowadays, you've got to be real careful with them. You've got to cook them to a good internal temperature, 160 degrees, 165 degrees. Make sure you've got that temperature. Otherwise, are you going to get sick? And if you see red meat or blood running around close to the bone in the meat, guess what? You just ruined your meal, because it doesn't do you any good to put it back on the fire and try to cook it. Once that salmonella bacteria starts spreading through the meat, adding warmth to it makes it spread faster. Remember stuff like that when you're doing cooking. And there'll be people out there that'll argue those points, but I don't care. I stay healthy. I don't get sick when I eat my stuff. So anyway, that's all I have for today, everybody. Chickens are still doing 3 eggs a day. Tomcat's still getting out during the night, and he likes going around the back side of the cabin, and he actually gets up on the roof of the cabin too. I don't know what he's doing up there at night, but maybe he's looking for those mice that are getting in my attic. So he's starting to roam around a little bit more, and he'll do a lot more of that when the temperatures start warming up a little bit more. And now the days are starting getting a little bit longer. We're already 4 days into past the solstice, and we've already gathered about that number of minutes to our days. And it's not actually the day, it's the daylight that we're gaining on. We still have 24 hours a day. You're not going to get 24 or 25 or anything like that. You're going to get 24 no matter what, but you get more daylight, less nighttime. So we all know that, right? Thanks for joining me today, everybody. And again, Merry Christmas to all of you out there, and to all a good night. This is G Bear signing off.